Okay, so now I'm gonna spend a minute and talk about how you do your setup on these Legends shock inserts, and basically how you come up with the preload, how you get there, and how to set it. So the way you're gonna set it is this is actually a nut, and it works on this threaded rod here, and it's gonna move up the rod or down, up to increase preload, down to decrease, and it's gonna put tension on this spring, and that's what they call preload. So what you're gonna be doing is you're gonna be tightening the nut up to increase the preload, and I say up because it's up towards the top of the cartridge versus this end, which would be down. And so what you're gonna have to do is there's a set screw in here. It's a 1/8 Allen. So you're gonna back that set screw out enough that you're gonna be able to turn this nut. And there's flats down here. You could put a 3/4 inch end wrench on. I'm not sure what size these are. I usually use a big crescent wrench, but you're probably not gonna need it. You're gonna be able to do it by hand. That's how I did these. So I just spun these. 2 was my preload number in this case, and I'll talk to you in a minute about how I got that. But once I got my 2 turns, basically you just want to go from where the set screw is. Once around is 1, once around again is 2, and what you're lining up against is this set screw, and then your other reference is going to be this flat spot here that you can see machine that we already talked about. So once you get your 2 turns, then you're tightening this down. They say from the factory that these are set at 0, so you go 0, 1, 2 is where I went to. How I got to that number, they have a chart that Legends gives you, and it tells you based on the rider weight, including luggage. So you're gonna wanna add, if you're figuring they're having a passenger, you're gonna wanna add that, and then I usually throw in maybe 40, 50 extra pounds. So the number I came up with for this combination is gonna be 300 to 400 range. So I set it to 2. Like I said, these are a little bit wider range, I guess, a little bit different than dialing in the JRIs. I don't believe JRI gives you a chart like this. Maybe they do. I know how I set them myself, so I go off the way I do it. With these Legends, you don't really have a choice. Like I said, you got to line it up 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns, no halves or whatever. So you really have to stick to their chart. And the other thing I'm going to talk about while we're here is fork oil. They give you another chart, and basically what you've got to do is decide what year your bike is, or look up what year your bike is, what diameter the fork tubes are, and then it's going to give you an amount in ounces of how much fork oil to use. So the difference in the 2016 and back to 2014 versus 2017 up, I'm not sure why they want the extra ½ ounce of fluid, but they do. And then the way I measure that is with what they call a ratio right cup. Basically you use this, one side's got ratios for adding, setting your premix in a 2-stroke basically. It tells you how much to add to a gallon to get the ratio you want. But then on the other side, it's got cc's, fluid ounces, and pints. And so what I'll use is the fluid ounce counter, and I'll just fill it up to 14 like it says I need here. And then I'll put that in my fork. And this is a different amount of fork oil than what you would use from the factory. So be sure that you use the Legends number, don't use the factory number. And then it's also important to use 20 weight, which is what they give you. Typically I run 20 weight in all my Harley touring bikes unless we're trying to change something with the fork oil. But if you do have to change your fork oil down the road or whatever, you don't necessarily have to use Maxima, but you want to use the same weight that they're recommending. So in this case, it's 20. I know with the JRIs, they use a 7.5 weight, which they also send you. Theirs is actually pre-measured, but you get the fork oil that they want you to use and the amount they want you to use it in, and you just dump that in your fork. But it does tell you how much to use and how much you need, and that's stuff you're going to want to keep track of, just so that when you change your fork oil in the future, you use the right amount for the hardware that you've got in your forks. That's basically it on the setup. Like I said, if you go to do this yourself, the instructions are really good. You can get online and find some information about it too. But if you follow the instructions, it's going to be really easy. And I just walked you through how to do the setup, so there should be nothing to it.